per the intrigue over the holiday. Can you give any more details on where the Secret Service found the cocaine in the West Wing and how it got there?
So, as you know, this is under the purview of the Secret Service. They are currently investigating what happened over the weekend, so I would have to refer you to the Secret Service on all of this. But one thing that I can share, that I'll share a little bit more information. As you know, the President and the First Lady and their family were not here this weekend, as you all reported on this, and as you also know that they left on Friday and returned just yesterday. Where this was discovered is a heavily traveled area where many White House, West Wing, I should be even more specific, West Wing visitors come through this particular area. I just don't have anything more to share. It is under investigation by the Secret Service. This is in their purview, and so we're going to allow certainly the investigation to continue, and we have confidence that the Secret Service will get to the bottom of this. Go ahead.
Has the President said, hey, let's get to the bottom of what happened here?
Well, I just said that we have confidence that the Secret Service is going to get to the bottom of this. As you all know, the President follows all the reporting here, and he certainly was briefed by his staff on everything that we know so far. But the Secret Service is investigating this, is investigating what happened over the weekend, and we have confidence that they will get to the bottom of this.
Secondly, is there still a chance that Sweden will be approved into NATO by the time of next week's summit?
So look, this is something that the President, as you know, the Sweden Prime Minister is here. They're currently meeting as we speak right now in the Oval Office, as some of your colleagues, maybe yourself, Steve, was able to be in the Oval Office. So look, I mean, we've been very clear on this. We've encouraged Turkey and Hungary to approve Sweden's application for NATO membership as soon as possible. Sweden, and I said this last week, I've said this many times, has fulfilled the commitments they made under the trilateral memorandum of agreement. They had agreed to with Finland and Turkey on the margins of the NATO summit in Madrid just last year, about a year ago. Sweden is a strong, capable defense partner that shares NATO's values and will strengthen the alliance and contribute to European security. And so we believe that this should occur, that their partnership into them to become members in NATO as soon as possible, and that's what you'll continue to hear from the President. I think the Sweden Prime Minister being here today, having a meeting with the President, certainly shows that commitment. Okay.
Thanks, Karine. Just two quick follow-ups. You said the President has been briefed on the cocaine that was found at the White House. Is the White House conducting its own internal investigation?
This is something that's under the purview of the Secret Service. They're the ones who handle this investigation, so it lives in their purview, in their world.
And then just a quick follow-up on this type of tour. Can you explain to the American people who would have access to the West Wing on this type of tour and what kind of protocols are in place? So
look, when it comes to security protocol, that's something that the Secret Service certainly is going to handle, and so that is a question for them. When it comes to visitors to the West Wing, they come for many reasons. Obviously, we do have West Wing tours that occur here on campus. They happen in this particular past couple of days. They happen on Friday, they happen on Saturday and Sunday. The times that they do not happen is when there's a federal holiday, like yesterday, there was not a West Wing tour, and also when there's a large White House event. So I don't have anything more to share on the particulars. Again, when it comes to security, when it comes to anything of those types of protocols, that is something that Secret Service handles. Kadweja.
Thanks, Karine.
And congratulations.
Thank
Should
you.
I call you President, Weija?
I appreciate it. Sure.
I was waiting. I was like, okay, that went over the head or got missed.
One president. It's not my turn. It's not my turn.
One president at a time, Weija.
Eventually.
Incoming president, maybe.
We just I wonder if the cocaine episode has prompted the White House to ask the Secret Service to review its security protocol for visitors coming in.
So let them do their investigation. Again, this is under their purview. Let's see exactly what occurred and what happened. They're going to get to the bottom of this. They, meaning the Secret Service, not going to get ahead of any changes in protocol or anything like that. Let's let the Secret Service do their job, which we believe and have all the confidence that they will get to the bottom of this.
This episode kind of shines a light on the fact that you can bring in illegal substances into the White House. So what's preventing a visitor from bringing in anthrax or something that's not magnetic into the White House?
No, look, I totally understand the question, but it is under investigation. We're going to get to the bottom to exactly what happened. The Secret Service will, not us. And so we're going to let the Secret Service do their job. I'm just not going to get ahead of if or whens or changes. We just have to let the Secret Service do their job, which they are. You're welcome. Go ahead.
Thanks, Karine. Can you just tell us how the White House is assisting the Secret Service with this investigation? Have you made any White House officials available for interviews with law enforcement, for example?
Well, look, we're not assisting in anything. This is under the Secret Service purview. This is their kind of guidance and guideline, their world, and so we're going to let them do their job. We are not involved in this. This is something that the Secret Service handles. It's under their protocol, and they are going to investigate and get to the bottom of what happened this weekend, and we appreciate that.
And you noted that this is an area where visitors on tour groups often pass by. So is that the working theory right now, that it was likely a visitor? And are you confident that this was not a White House staffer?
There is investigation. They're going to get to the bottom of this. What I wanted to be very clear is that this is a heavily traveled, to be more accurate, area of the campus of the White House, and it is where visitors to the West Wing come through. This is the part where they come through when it comes to coming through the West Wing. I just don't have anything else. I'm not going to speculate on who it was, but just wanted to make that very clear and give you all a little bit more information. I believe the Secret Service is also sharing this as well.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.